Social Security just announced a $1,200 boost for LAI, and DAI recipients, but here's the catch: many will miss out if they don't act fast. I'll break down exactly who qualifies, how it affects your payments, and what you need to do right now to claim it if you rely on pension updates like me. Subscribe immediately. This channel is built just for us, keeping you ahead of every change before anyone else. If you or someone you love depends on Social Security benefits, whether that's LAI, or regular Social Security retirement, then what I'm about to share with you today could be one of the most important updates you've heard all year. There is a very real $1,200 boost that has been making headlines, and the confusion surrounding it has left millions of Americans wondering, is this real? Does it apply to me? And when exactly am I going to see that money? So let's slow down, cut through all the noise, and walk through everything you need to know in plain, simple language. Because this is your money, and you deserve to understand exactly what's happening with it. Let's start at the very beginning, because to understand this update, you need to understand how Social Security actually adjusts benefits from year to year. The Social Security Administration, most people know it as the LAI, uses something called a cost of living adjustment, or COLA. This adjustment is designed to make sure that your monthly benefit keeps pace with inflation. In other words, as the prices of everyday things like groceries, gas, medicine, and rent go up, your benefit is supposed to go up too, so that your purchasing power doesn't just quietly erode over time while you're not paying attention. The COLA is calculated using data from the Consumer Price Index, which is a measurement the federal government uses to track how much prices are rising or falling across the economy. Every year in October, the SSA announces what the next year's COLA percentage will be, and then in January of the following year, that increase is applied to people's monthly payments. Now, here's where the $1,200 figure comes in, and this is critical to understand because this number is not a one-time check being mailed to your door. This is not a stimulus payment, it is not a special bonus, and it is not some kind of emergency relief program. What the $1,200 represents is the cumulative annual value of the COLA increase that was applied to Social Security benefits. When you take the monthly boost that beneficiaries received and multiply it across 12 months, you arrive at a figure that, for many recipients, lands right around $1,200 additional dollars per year. For some people it's a bit more, for others it's a bit less, depending on what their base benefit amount is. But that's where the number comes from. It is the total yearly value of the monthly increase you're already receiving. Let's talk about who this actually affects, because the rules are slightly different depending on which program you're enrolled in. If you receive Social Security retirement benefits, meaning you worked and paid into the system and now you're collecting based on your work record, then the COLA increase applies to you automatically. You don't have to apply for it, you don't have to call the RAI, you don't have to fill out any paperwork. It just happens. The same goes for people receiving Social Security disability insurance, which most people refer to as LAI. LAI is for people who worked and paid into Social Security but then became unable to work due to disability. The COLA adjustment applies to LAI recipients in exactly the same way it applies to retirement recipients, automatically and without any action required on your part. Then there's Supplemental Security Income, which is LAI, and this is where things get little different and where a lot of the confusion tends to pile up. LAI is a needs-based program, meaning it's not tied to your work history. It's designed to help elderly, blind, or disabled individuals who have very limited income and resources. LAI is funded differently from Social Security retirement and DAI. It comes from general tax revenues rather than from the Social Security Trust Fund. But here's the important thing to know: LAI recipients also receive COLA adjustment each year. The adjustment follows the same percentage as the one applied to regular Social Security, and it is also applied automatically. So if you're on NAI, you don't need to do anything special to get this increase. It should already be reflected in your monthly payments. Now let's talk about the actual dollar amounts, because I know that's what most of you really want to know. For someone receiving the average Social Security retirement benefit, the COLA increase translated to somewhere in the range of $70 to $1,000 more per month. That's $1,080 at 80 to $1,300 at 20 over the course of a full year, which is right where that $1,200 figure comes from when we're talking about averages. For ILA recipients, the numbers vary more widely because SSA benefits are calculated based on your individual earnings history. Some people receive quite modest LAHE checks, while others receive significantly higher ones, depending on how much they earned and paid into the system before becoming disabled. For other recipients, the maximum federal benefit rate also increased, giving those at the top of the benefit scale meaningful bump in their monthly income. One thing I really want to address head-on is the wave of misinformation that has been spreading on social media and in certain corners of the internet. There are videos and posts circulating that make it sound like there's a special $1,200 check that people need to claim, or that there's an application process you need to complete before deadline, or that certain people are being left out and need to take specific steps to get what they're owed. Most of this information is either misleading, outdated, or outright false. The $1,200 figure is not a separate payment. If you are a current Social Security, LAHE, or LAE recipient and the COLA applies to your benefit, you are already receiving it. There is no special claim to file. There is no deadline to meet. The money is already factored into your monthly payment. That said, there are some real situations where people might not be seeing the full increase they expect, and those situations are worth going over carefully. First, if you are on Medicare, you need to pay close attention to your Medicare Part U premium. Medicare Part A covers doctor visits and outpatient services, and the premium for it is typically deducted directly from your Social Security check each month. Every year, the Medicare Part U premium also adjusts, and sometimes that adjustment goes up. When the Part U premium increases at the same time as your COLA, part of your raise can get absorbed the higher premium before it ever reaches your bank account. This is a phenomenon that's sometimes called hold harmless in reverse, and it catches people off guard when they look at their bank statement and the deposit doesn't seem as large as they expected. The good news is that there are protections in place, specifically the hold harmless provision, that prevent your Social Security benefit from actually decreasing just because your Medicare premium went up. But it can reduce or even completely offset your COLA increase in certain scenarios. Another situation to be aware of is if you've had any changes in your circumstances over the past year that might affect your benefit amount. If your income change, if your living situation change, if someone in your household changed their work status, these things can affect LALE in particular, since LAE is calculated based on your current financial situation. If the LAE recalculated your LAE benefit and determined that you're eligible for a lower amount based on your income or resources, that reduction could partially or fully cancel out the COLA increase. This doesn't mean you did anything wrong, it's just the way LAE works. But if your payment looks different from what you expected, that's one of the possible explanations. Let's also talk about something that a lot of people don't fully understand, which is the timing of when you'll see these changes. Social Security benefits are paid on a schedule that depends on your birth date. If you were born on the SSA through the SSA day of the month, your payment comes on the second Wednesday of the month. If you were born between the 11 and 20, it comes on the third Wednesday. And if your birthday falls between the 21 and the 31, your payment arrives on the fourth Wednesday. LAE, on the other hand, is paid on the SSA of each month, unless the SSA falls on weekend or holiday, in which case it's paid on the last business day before. When benefit changes happen, they take effect on a specific date, and you'll see the new amount starting with the payment for that period. If you're not sure whether your new amount has kicked in yet, the most reliable thing to do is check your Social Security account online at SSA.gov. Speaking of SSA.gov, if you haven't set up a Social Security account yet, now is genuinely great time to do it. Your online account gives you access to your full benefit statement, your payment history, your estimated future benefits if you're not yet collecting, and importantly, it shows you your current benefit amount and any upcoming changes. It's free, it's secure, and it can save you a lot of time and frustration compared to trying to get information over the phone or waiting for something to arrive via mail. You can also use your account to update your direct deposit information, change your address, and get your annual benefit verification letter, which is the document many people need for housing applications, loan applications, or other purposes where you need to prove your income. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about something that goes beyond the mechanics of this particular update because there's a bigger picture here that deserves attention. The Social Security system is something that hundreds of millions of Americans have paid into over the course of their working lives. It is not a handout or a favor, it is a system of deferred compensation, a contract between workers and the government that promises a measure of economic security in retirement, disability, or old age. The COLA adjustment exists precisely because lawmakers recognized that fixed benefit that never changes would slowly become worthless over time as inflation erodes purchasing power. The fact that benefits adjust for inflation is one of Social Security's most important features. But it's also worth being honest about the fact that for many beneficiaries, even with the COLA increase, the monthly benefit amount still falls far short of what a person needs to live comfortably or even adequately in today's economy. The federal poverty guidelines have consistently shown that many Social Security and their recipients are living in or near poverty even while receiving their full benefits. The US dollar's $1,200 annual increase sounds meaningful, and in some ways it is, but if you're already struggling to afford housing, food, medication, and utilities on your monthly benefit, an extra $100 a month is helpful, but it's not transformative. This is an ongoing conversation happening at the policy level, and it's one that advocates for low-income seniors and people with disabilities push on every year. There are also some important things to know about what's coming down the road when it comes to Social Security funding. You may have heard concerns about the Social Security trust funds and the projections that they could be depleted in the coming decades if Congress doesn't act. While this is a legitimate long-term concern, it's important not to panic or assume that your benefits are going away anytime soon. Even in the worst-case scenario under current law, Social Security would still be able to pay significant percentage of promised benefits. It just wouldn't be able to pay the full amount. Congress has addressed Social Security funding challenges in the past and is widely expected to do so again. Your benefits are not disappearing, but it's smart to stay informed about these conversations and to understand the difference between short-term adjustments and long-term structural questions. Let me also address a question that comes up constantly, which is whether working while receiving Social Security benefits affects how much you receive. The answer depends on your age and which program you're on. If you're receiving Social Security retirement benefits and you're under your full retirement age, which is currently 67 for people born in 1960 or later, then yes, earning too much from work can temporarily reduce your benefits. The LASI applies what's called an earnings test, and if your earnings exceed the annual limit, they'll reduce your benefit yield as dollars isa for every as dollars dalawa you earn above that threshold. However, when you reach full retirement age, those reductions stop, and your benefit is actually recalculated upward to credit you for the months when it was reduced. If you're already past full retirement age, you can earn as much as you want without any reduction to your Social Security benefits. For people on NAE, the rules around work are different and more complex because LALEA is specifically for people who are unable to engage in substantial gainful activity due to disability. There are programs in place, including the trial work period and the Ticket to Work program, that allow LALEA recipients to be returning to work without immediately losing their benefits. These programs are designed to encourage people to test their ability to work without the fear of losing their safety net if things don't work out. But navigating these rules can be tricky, and if you're on NAE and considering any kind of work, it's really important to either call the L directly or speak with benefits counselor before you start, so you fully understand how earnings will affect your specific situation. If you believe that you should be receiving a higher benefit than you currently are, whether because of the COLA, an error in your payment, or change in your circumstances, the most direct thing you can do is contact the Social Security Administration. You can call the national toll-free number, visit local LAD office in person, or use your online account to review your information and initiate contact. If you believe there's been an error in your benefit calculation, you have the right to request a review and, if necessary, to formally appeal the SSA decision. The appeals process has multiple levels, and beneficiaries win appeals more often than many people realize, especially when they have documentation to support their case. Don't assume that if the AS says your benefit is a certain amount, it's impossible to challenge. Errors do happen. Before we wrap up, I want to come back to the big picture one more time. The US dollars 1,200 boost being discussed in the context of this Social Security update is real. It represents the cumulative annual value of the COLA adjustment that was applied to benefits. For current recipients of Social Security retirement, LATE and LAE, this increase has already been applied automatically to monthly payments. There is no separate application, no special claim, and no deadline to worry about. If you're seeing your full benefit amount each month and you know roughly what the COLA percentage was for the year, you should be able to verify the increase yourself. If something seems off, reach out to the LAE or log into your online account to review your payment history. What I want you to take away from all of this is that your benefits are real, they are protected, and they are adjusted over time to help them keep up with the rising cost of living. The system is not perfect. There are real gaps between what many people receive and what they actually need to live with dignity, but the protections that are in place, including the annual COLA, exist specifically to safeguard the people who rely on these programs most. Stay informed, keep an eye on your payments, set up your online account if you haven't already, and don't hesitate to reach out to the ally if something doesn't look right. You've earned these benefits, and you deserve to receive every dollar you're entitled to. That's going to wrap it up for today. If you found this helpful, make sure you share it with someone who might need to hear it, because this is information that too many people are still searching for.